Welcome back, Wanderer, to another episode of Lured to Sleep. In tonight's episode, we're going to be leaving the corridors of the backrooms behind in favor of something a little more cozy and nostalgic. Let me set the scene for you. It's the early 2000s. You've just finished a Friday at school, and the weekend is just within reach. Online gaming at this point has been around for a little bit, but maybe it was always just beyond your grasp. Something reserved for those who are older or more tech-savvy than yourself, on top of being able to afford the luxury of a subscription-based entertainment service. But today, you get to come home and dive back into a world that is as boundless with adventure as it is with wonder. A vast, overwhelming feeling washes over you in a way that you've never quite experienced before. Today, you get to play Runescape and explore the world of Gielinor. And just maybe, you're stepping into a journey that will span decades. You'll meet some of the best friends you could have ever asked for, and you'll overcome challenges you previously never thought possible for yourself. Before our journey begins, let's have a moment to take in our surroundings and our travel companions. If you are a wanderer who enjoys the warmth of others, consider liking and subscribing to our channel so that others may find their way here in the future. Tonight's lore has been researched by multiple people and put together in a way that is reflective of current old-school RuneScape. Some information may vary slightly from what you have established as official canon. Now, take my hand, Wanderer, and let's take our first steps back into that familiar world. The very first time you awaken within the world of Gielinor. Imagine a place where your story begins in absolute silence. Every traveler in Gielinor starts as what is known as a new soul. You arrive with no skills and no history to follow you. You manifest inside a simple wooden house on a quiet island, a location that exists as a tabula rasa, a blank slate for your journey. This place is geographically separate from the wars and politics of the mainland kingdoms. The air inside the house is still and heavy with the scent of old oak. Before you take your first step, you are formless. You exist in a quiet, liminal space between non-existence and becoming a hero. This is the identity protocol. You find yourself standing in a room with a man who has seen millions of souls just like yours. It is here in this subterranean grotto of the island that you choose your physical vessel. You select your gender and the tone of your skin. You pick the colors of the simple clothes you will wear for your first steps into the light. This is the very first act of agency you have in this world, and it is the choice that anchors your soul to this new reality. Inside the guide's house, there's a grandfather clock made of carved black oak. This clock is a strange object because it never ticks. To anyone watching, the hands appear frozen at exactly 11:05. This is a sign of a phenomenon called chronostasis. On the mainland, time moves relentlessly. Crops grow in the fields and the sky changes as the hours pass. But on this island, time stands still. The sun never sets and the clock hands never move. You are living in an eternal now, a moment of preparation that does not consume any game time. However, there is a hidden mystery to the time here. At the very end of the island, in the house of the magic instructor, there is a second clock. That clock shows the time as 12:20. This suggests a shift of 1 hour and 15 minutes during your journey. You experience a subjective passage of time as you walk the path. Your journey from Reginald to the wizard has a duration that you can feel. The island is also held together by a powerful enchantment known as the Law of Safety. It is a place where it is impossible for you to die. On the mainland, death is a traumatic transition where you lose your items and reappear at a distant temple. Here, the concept of mortality is completely rewritten. If your health reaches 0 while training, you don't vanish. You don't leave behind the gravestone. You just simply reset. You're placed back at the start of your current lesson with all of your items and equipment. You are not tethered to the normal cycle of the afterlife. You're in a protective loop that keeps you safe while you learn to survive. The world itself prevents you from crossing into the abyss. Even the combat pits, the system aggressively prevents your death, You are a soul in training, kept safe until you are ready for the risk of the world beyond. This protection is a mercy given to every soul before they face the beautiful and harsh reality of Gielinor. You leave the quiet domestic safety of the Gielinor guide's house and step into the open air of the wild for the first time. The path leads you away from the wooden porch and toward the western ponds. You walk through grass that grows thick and lush near the edge of the water. Here, you meet survival expert Brina. She represents your first real connection to the physical land of Gielinor. For you are ready to learn the arts of war or the secrets of magic, you must understand the basic pillars of biology and thermodynamics. You must learn the relationship between fire and food. The trees in this part of the island are simple and archetypical. They are labeled in your mind as only a tree or an oak. As you stand under their branches, you can hear the soft rustle of leaves in the coastal wind. There is a strict limit on what you can learn in this place. Even if you spend hours practicing your swing, your skills are capped at level 3 for almost everything that you do. You may see large oak trees standing nearby, but the laws of the island prevent you from harvesting them. Brina's lesson is one of immediate necessity. You chop wood to light a fire. This act of making fire is your first time altering the world around you. You are taking raw nature and turning it into energy in the form of heat and light. Once your fire is burning on the grass, you walk to the edge of the pond to find the Gielinoran shrimp, also known as Pandalus gielinoris. This small creature is at the center of a historical shift known as the Great Shrimp Schism. For many years, the metaphysical laws of the universe were written differently for every new soul. There was an old law that dictated a deterministic failure. Every single adventurer was guaranteed to burn their very first catch. This was a hard-coded rule with a 100% failure rate. The purpose of this old law was to teach you resilience. It was a tool designed to show you that effort does not always lead to an immediate reward in this world. It introduced the concept of the burnt fish item and forced you to try again. Burning that first shrimp was a rite of passage. It was a shared experience of failure that bound the community together. Eventually, this law was changed by the gods of the world. They realized that this immediate failure was causing many souls to stop existing before they ever reached the mainland. Now, the law is one of encouragement. The chance of burning your catch is now subject to random chance or weighted heavily towards success. Today, having a burnt shrimp from this island is a matter of luck rather than destiny. You stand by the water and watch the ripples, knowing that your success or failure is now part of a changing universe. When you leave the ponds in the open air, you pass through a gate and enter the home of Master Chef Lev. This move represents a shift from nature to culture. Brina represents the wild, raw elements of the land. Lev represents the processed and refined world of civilization. He describes his methods as sophisticated compared to the primal techniques used by the survivalists. You move from the open campfire to the iron range. Lev introduces you to the concept of combination cooking. He does not simply roast meat over a log. He teaches you how to mix flour and water to create dough. You feel the texture of the dough in your hands as you prepare it. You then take that dough and bake it into bread inside of a stone oven. This is your transition from a hunter-gatherer to someone who understands industry and refinement. You are learning how to manipulate multiple raw materials to create something better. Lev also introduces you to the music player. He suggests that a civilized life in Gielinor includes the arts as well as sustenance. The music you hear is a sign that you are becoming part of a cultured society. By the time you leave his kitchen, you've moved beyond simple survival. You have learned the value of refinement, and you are ready to begin your journey toward the industrial foundations of the earth. Leaving the warmth of Master Chef Lev's kitchen, you move toward the southern hills of the island. The bright, open sunlight begins to fade as you find a heavy iron gate that leads deep into the earth. As you descend the stone steps, the air changes. It becomes cool and damp, carrying the faint, metallic scent of a limestone cavern. This is the subterranean heart of the island. Here, you meet mining instructor Dezek. He is a guardian of dwarven descent who stands as the steward of the mining pits, the industrial center of this realm. The cavern is a place of steady and rhythmic sounds. You hear the distant echo of water dripping onto stone and the muffled scrape of boots on the cave floor. This environment is where you are introduced to the mechanic of prospecting. It is the intellectual act of assessing a resource before you try to extract it. You learn to look at the rocks and see more than just a wall of stone. You learn to identify the subtle streaks of color that mark tin and copper, the two pillars of the Bronze Age. This act of prospecting changes your relationship with the environment. Rocks are no longer just scenery. They have become repositories of value and potential. And you are no longer just a traveler. You are someone who can read the hidden riches of the earth. Once you've extracted the raw ore from the rocks, Desik leads you toward the furnace. It is a massive structure made of stone and iron that radiates a steady, comforting heat through a dim cave. This is your very first interaction with a static industrial machine. You stand before the glow of the fire and learn to smelt your tin and copper together into a single bronze bar. This process is a moment of transformation. You are taking two separate elements of nature and combining them into something stronger and more useful. The heat of the furnace fills the cavern, providing a warm contrast to the cool dampness of the stone walls. You watch as the raw ore melts and merges, flowing into a mold to take its new shape. From the furnace, you move to the anvil, which is the site of physical creation. You feel the weight of the hammer in your hand and the solid resistance of the metal as you prepare to strike. As you stand at the anvil, you encounter a strange and absolute force. There is a magical limitation on this island that governs everything you do. It is called the bronze ceiling. Even if you were to stay in these mines for days, mining and smithing until you were exhausted, your skills are strictly capped at level 3. The anvil interface itself is restricted by the unique laws of this pocket dimension. The only item the world will allow you to forge here is a bronze dagger. This isn't a simple choice. It is a lore constraint that keeps the entire island stuck in a permanent Bronze Age. While materials like iron, steel, and even mithril exist as concepts in Gielinor, they can't be manifested in this place. The island exists in a state of industrial stasis, ensuring that every soul begins with the same rudimentary tools. You are working within the foundational limits of the world, learning the slow and patient art of metallurgy before you are ever allowed to handle anything more complex. The blade you forge at the anvil is an weapon, the foundational tool of violence for every soul in the realm. The bronze dagger is frequently described as weak, blunt, and rudimentary. It's been the subject of trivia and even ridicule among the powerful warriors of the mainland. Yet its significance is deep and universal. It's the only weapon in all of Gielinor that every single player has wielded at least once in their life. The work in the mines is slow and methodical. You spend time at the anvil and feel the rhythmic pulse of your labor. Each strike of the hammer is a lesson in patience and precision. You are moving away from the survival skills of the surface and entering the crafted industry of the depths. You carry your new blade with you as you prepare to leave the quiet darkness of the caves and return to the surface light. You have learned that the world provides raw materials, but it is your labor and your will that will give them shape. You are now ready to climb back into the sun and face the legendary guardian who waits for you above the pits. As you stand before him, you will notice that Vanaka carries himself differently than any other warrior. He is famous for a feat of physical strength that is considered impossible by the standard laws of physics and mechanics. In his right hand, he holds a steel two-handed sword. In the world of Gielinor, this weapon is so heavy and long that it normally requires both hands to swing effectively. However, Vanaka carries a dragon square shield in his left hand at the same time. This shield is a high-level artifact that requires great defense and the completion of difficult quests to wield. This impossible combination of a two-handed blade and a heavy shield suggests that Vanaka possesses a unique combat style or brute strength that is far beyond the reach of a normal adventurer. Some records suggest his strength level is as high as 112. To a new soul, he represents the absolute peak of what can be achieved with a blade. He embodies the rule of power over the standard rules of equipment. There is a deeper, more somber history to why such a powerful master is standing in a small enclosure on a quiet island. Ancient records reveal that Vanaka was once a student of Duradal, the Grand Master Slayer of Shiloh Village. Driven by a desire to prove his strength, Vanaka challenged his master to a duel, and he lost that fight. Following his defeat, he retreated to the relative obscurity of Tutorial Island to train newcomers. He is a warrior in penance. He spends his days honing the next generation of heroes, perhaps hoping that one of them will eventually surpass even his own master. He guides you so that you don't repeat the mistakes of his past. He's a mentor who understands that true mastery comes from discipline and preparation rather than just raw strength. His exile is a gift to you, as you receive training from one of the greatest warriors the world has ever known. Under the watchful gaze of the master, you descend into the pit to face your very first hostile force. This is a giant rat. Unlike the trees or shrimp that you encountered earlier, the rat fights back. This is your introduction to the visceral reality of risk. You learn the different styles of combat such as stabbing, slashing, and crushing. You also learn how to block and feel the impact of taking damage for the first time. The rats are tuned to be defeatable, but they represent the first time your soul must defend its own existence. It's a controlled environment, but the adrenaline is real as you exchange blows in the dirt of the pit. You learn that combat is a balance of aggression and careful timing. By the time you defeat the creature and climb out of the pit, you've moved from a traveler to a combatant. You have felt the weight of the sword and the resistance of a foe. Even in the heat of this first battle, the protective laws of the island hold firm. Many adventurers try to test the impossible-to-die mechanic by letting their health drop to 0 while fighting the rats. As we've learned, on Tutorial Island, the concept of death is rewritten. If your health is reduced, you do not experience the trauma of a standard death. You don't leave behind the gravestone, and you don't visit the office of death. Instead, you are instantly reset to the beginning of the section. You retain all of your items and your equipment. This respawn loop suggests that you are not yet tethered to the normal cycle of the afterlife. You exist in a protected training ground where the consequences of failure are mitigated by a higher power. You are safe until you are ready to cross the threshold into the mainland kingdoms. You carry your experience with you as you leave the enclosure. You are now prepared for the final spiritual and arcane lessons of your stay. Leaving the violence of the combat pits behind, you move toward a small and quiet building on the eastern side of the island. This is the chapel. As you step through the doors, the sounds of the wind and the rats fade away. You are greeted by the stillness of the stone walls and the presence of Brother Brace. He is a monk of Saradomin, the god of order and wisdom. His presence in this place indicates that the default spiritual alignment of the human kingdoms is rooted in these values. Brother Brace teaches you the skill of prayer. This is the ability to draw power from the divine to protect and strengthen your soul. You learn that faith in Gielinor is not just a private matter. Brother Brace also serves as the island's community officer. He explains the importance of your social connections, such as the friends and ignore lists. In this world, spiritual health is linked to how you interact with the community around you. To cherish those who are righteous and turn away from the toxic is presented as a sacred act. You learn that you're not just a solitary hero. You're a member of a shared reality where your relationships are as important as your skills. Inside the quiet of the chapel sits a church organ. This is a very rare object. It is one of only 4 interactive organs in the entire game world. When you sit at the bench and interact with the keys, a unique audio track begins to fill the small room. This track is identified in the archives as Newbie Melody. It is a fleeting and beautiful piece of music that does not appear on your standard music playlist. It doesn't unlock for you to listen to later once you leave the island. This music represents the hymn of the beginning. It is a sound that exists only in that chapel and in that specific moment of your life. It captures the ephemeral innocence and hope of a new soul before you are thrust into the wars of the mainland. While other organs exist in places like Lumbridge or Sears Village, the Tutorial Island organ track remains a unique sonic signature of your genesis. You sit in the soft light of the chapel and feel the spiritual resonance of the music. It is a moment of calm before the final transition. Your path leads you to a small tower at the very edge of the island's shore. This is the home of Wizard Tarova. He is the final instructor you will meet on your journey. He lives in a house cluttered with magical paraphernalia, including dragon heads and unfinished staves. This clutter hints at his high-level status as a master of the arcane. Tarova teaches you how to manipulate runes to touch the power of magic for the first time. He provides you with mind runes and air runes. He instructs you to cast a spell called Wind Strike on the chickens that wander outside his door. You take the life of a living creature with your will, and runic energy is the final test of your preparation. Tarova claims to be a friend of the guide in Lumbridge, creating a link between the safety of the island and the challenges of the mainland. By successfully casting this spell, you prove that you have mastered the land, the fire, the metal, and the spirit. You have completed the ancient protocols of the islands. The conclusion of your journey is a magical displacement. Tarova helps you trigger the home teleport spell, or uses his own magic to send you forward. You stand still as you draw a circle of purple runic energy around your feet. This animation is iconic. It represents the folding of space and the transition between dimensions. You feel your physical form shrink into a single point of light before you vanish entirely from the island. This is the true birth of the adventurer. You are pulled from the safety of the womb that is Tutorial Island and manifested in the courtyard of Lumbridge Castle. As you arrive on the mainland, the protected stasis of the island finally breaks. Time begins to flow relentlessly, as it does for all living things. The clock in your mind no longer reads 11:05. You are now mortal and vulnerable. You are now part of the history of Gielinor. You have crossed the threshold from a theoretical soul into a living hero, and your story has finally begun. And that, wanderer, is where we rest our feet. This journey will be a long one, and Lumbridge awaits just on the other side of the sea. If you enjoyed this adventure and would like to hear more, the easiest way that you can do that right now is by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. If you'd like to take that just a step further, perhaps consider becoming a member of our Patreon and joining our Wall of Wanderers. At the time of recording, we haven't yet gained access to channel members, but we're very close to doing so. So, if you're listening from the future and you'd like your support to stay confined to YouTube, that option may be available for you now. Thank you so much for taking the time to walk these roads with me, and I hope that your adventure was a pleasant one. Rest your feet, close your eyes, and let the music, rain, and ambient shepherd you into a restful night's sleep. Sweet dreams, wanderer. I'll see you in the next adventure. Good night.